Hello, a very good morning. Welcome to the midweek edition of the Mega News at 6 News, coming to you live from our studios on the 10th Avenue Extension, Greater Estate. This is NBN TV. My name is El Samuels. The headlines.
Mahama swears in National African Peer Review Mechanism Governing Council members. In business, Ghana's cedi set for modest depreciation in 2026 EM advisory projects. And on the international front, migrant boat capsizes off Libya, leaving 53 dead.
The President, John Dramani Mahama, has expressed Ghana's readiness to open up for a true peer review.
He describes the mechanism as an important exercise that will afford Ghana the opportunity to know progress made interventions to improve governance. The President was speaking after swearing in members of the National African Peer Review Mechanism Governing Council. According to him, the new council is expected to lead the second generation review of Ghana next week on the sidelines of the African Union Summit scheduled to take place in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. We are willing to do that, and we will be available to lead that process, he assured. President Mahama noted that Ghana was among the first countries to accede to, volunteer, and undergo a comprehensive peer review process as far back in 2006. It's been an issue of pride for us that Ghana's democracy, accountable governance, and everything that we are noted for will be subjected to review by our peers, he said. He observed that the outcome was the reference to the huge gap between the deprived northern belt of Ghana and the south, which eventually led to the establishment of the Savannah and Accelerated Development Authority, SADA, as a platform to provide direct development assistance to stem the migration from north to south. So we want to know what has happened to those inequalities and what the level of opportunities we have opened up in other parts of the country are. The new governing council is chaired by Leadership Professor Ikuya Kuyenshia. In a brief remark, Professor Ikuya expressed gratitude to the President and assured him of their commitment to uphold transparency and the independence of governance institutions. Other members are Dr. Joseph Whittal, Chairman of the National Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, CHRAJ, Mr. Joseph Obin, Mr. David Ofosu-Dotte, and Mrs. Cornelia Amwa. The APRM is a voluntary mutually agreed self-monitoring instrument established in 2003 by the African Union to promote good governance, political stability, and sustainable development. It facilitates national dialogue and self-assessment of policies across 4 areas: democracy, economic management, corporate governance, and socio-economic development.
In other stories, lawyers for the former Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, Kofi Ofosu-Nkansah, have confirmed that officers of the National Intelligence Bureau searched his residence as part of investigation into allegation of the sale of government-funded overseas scholarships.
According to the legal team, the search followed comments made by Mr. Nkansah during a radio discussion in which he alleged that individuals were paying to secure scholarships abroad. Speaking in an interview, lead counsel Nana Ejei-Balfour-Iwaa said officers who searched were unable to produce a warrant when questioned. Mr. Nkansah had earlier been invited by the NIB to assist with investigations after President John Dramani Mahama directed the intelligence agency to probe the allegations. His lawyers, however, have clarified that Mr. Nkansah was not arrested, contrary to reports circulating on social media. The legal team, led by Nana Ejei-Balfour-Iwaa, insisted that Mr. Nkansah voluntarily appeared before the NIB and fully cooperated with investigators by providing information relevant to the alleged sale of scholarships by the Scholarship Secretariat. The appearance before the NIB was in response to a presidential directive issued after Mr. Nkansa made the claims during a radio discussion on Sompa 106.5 FM, where he alleged that payments were being made to obtain government-funded scholarships to study abroad. The allegations sparked public concern over transparency and fairness in the award of state-sponsored educational opportunities. In a statement dated February 3, 2026, the Office of the President described the allegations as serious and of grave public concern and tags the NIB with verifying the claims, identifying any individuals involved, and submitting its findings directly to the President for further actions. Lawyers for Mr. Nkansa reiterated that his engagement with the NIB was consistent with the directive and aimed at providing all necessary information to support the investigation.
The National Democratic Congress, the NDC, has maintained Mohamed Baba Jamal Ahmed as the parliamentary candidate for the Ayawaso East constituency by-election, despite allegation of vote buying that emerged during the party's primaries held on Saturday, February 7th.
This decision is contained in a report submitted by a three-member committee established by the party to investigate the allegations that some aspirants engaged in endorsement during the primary. Baba Jamal is expected to file his nomination with the Electoral Commission on Wednesday, February 11. The investigative committee was constituted following widespread concerns and reports that TV sets and cash were allegedly distributed to delegates during the primary, raising questions about the integrity of the process. The allegations sparked public debate and renewed scrutiny of vote-buying practices within internal party elections. According to the NDC, the committee examined complaints submitted by delegates and party members, reviewed available evidence, and engaged relevant stakeholders before arriving at its conclusions. While the committee acknowledged concerns about monetization in internal elections, it reportedly found no basis to disqualify Baba Jamal as the party's candidate for the upcoming by-election. Baba Jamal, who emerged victorious in the parliamentary primary, has consistently denied allegations of vote buying, insisting that his campaign was conducted within the rules and guidelines of the party. The Ayawaso East seat became vacant following the death of the former Member of Parliament, Nasser Ture Mahama, necessitating the by-election. The NDC is expected to formally communicate the outcome of the committee's work to the public as it prepares to intensify campaigning ahead of the by-election.
Now, away from the NDC's and its parliamentary primaries held on February 7th, we move to the business desk. After a hectic 30% annual gain against the US dollars in 2025, Ghana's cedi is expected to experience modest depreciation in 2026, according to a report by AM Advisory.
The report attributes last year's rally to elevated gold prices, strong cocoa earnings, and increased foreign reserves, which enabled the Bank of Ghana to inject roughly $10 billion into the foreign exchange market. Gold exports were a key driver, reaching $8.3 billion in the first half of 2025 alone, nearly double the figure recorded over the same period the previous year. Because the Ghana Gold Board is mandated to surrender its foreign exchange earnings to the Bank of Ghana, these inflows went directly towards strengthening reserves rather than leaking into parallel markets, the report noted. The advisory, however, cautioned that 2026 will test the resilience of the currency. While gold prices are expected to remain elevated, the Bank of Ghana is likely to allow the currency to resume its traditional gradual weakening trend to preserve Ghana's external competitiveness, EM Advisory said. By year-end, the cedi is projected to trade at around 12 cedis per US dollar, representing a modest depreciation from current levels. Additionally, the report said reserve adequacy remains a key focus for the Bank of Ghana, with total gross international reserves reaching $13.8 billion, equivalent to 5.7 months of import cover. The report warned, however, that reliance on a concentrated commodity exports base, predominantly gold, cocoa, and oil, leaves Ghana vulnerable to global price fluctuations. It therefore recommends structural reforms to reduce commodity dependence and enhance resilience. Establishing a modern gold refinery and implementing traceability mechanisms across the supply chain would help capture more value domestically and reduce exposure to price volatility, EM Advisory suggested. The local gold refining initiative with the Gold Coast Refinery was highlighted as a promising step toward achieving this objective.
On an international front, a rubber boat carrying about 55 passengers, including 2 babies, have overturned the coast of Libya, the UN Migration says.
The only survivors, 2 Nigerian women, were rescued by the Libyan authorities on Friday, the International Organization for Migration announced on Monday. The boat was carrying migrants and refugees from various African countries, it said. The boat sank after taking on water approximately 6 hours after departing from the coastal city of Al Zawiya in northwestern Libya. The IOM says that almost 500 migrants have been reported dead or missing trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea from Libya so far in 2026. Libya has become a staging point for migrants from sub-Saharan Africa seeking to reach Europe since longtime leader Muammar Gaddafi was killed in 2011. Survivors told IOM that the rubber dinghy had departed at around 2300 o'clock time from Al Zawiya, west of Tripoli. It was overturned several hours later in the early hours of Friday north of Zuwara. It is not immediately clear why it has taken so long for the news to emerge. One of the 2 survivors said she had lost a husband, while the other reported that her 2 babies had died, the agency said. IOM teams provided both women with emergency medical care. IOM says at least 375 migrants were reported dead or missing in January alone after a series of invisible shipwrecks in the central Mediterranean during periods of extreme winter weather. The true toll is feared to be higher. Despite the repeated tragedies, migrants continue to attempt the crossing. Conditions for migrants inside Libya are widely documented as dire. UN human rights officials have warned of torture, trafficking, forced labor, extortion, and other abuses committed by both state and non-state actors, including militia groups. IOM says traffickers and smuggling networks profit by forcing people onto overcrowded and unseaworthy vessels, contributing to the mounting death toll. The agency has urged stronger international cooperation to dismantle smuggling and trafficking networks, alongside the creation of safe and legal migration pathways to reduce deaths at sea. Many vessels that sink are never reported by the people smugglers who operate them. Those who die simply vanish, their families left without ever knowing what happens to them. Several countries, including the UK, Spain, Norway, and Sierra Leone, have called on Libya to shut down detention centers where rights groups say migrants have been tortured, abused, or killed.
And this brings us to the end of the Mega News. But before we go, let's move straight away to the Weather Center to bring you the weather and its updates. From the MBN Weather Center in association with the Ghana Meteorological Agency, we'll bring you the 24-hour impactful weather updates. In our weather this morning, the weather is this morning over the southern Ghana will be mostly cloudy with mist or fog patches expected to form over a few places. Thereafter, sunny conditions will be observed across the entire country with occasional cloudiness for some areas in southern Ghana. However, from the afternoon into the evening hours, localized thunderstorms or rainfall activities are likely to affect a few areas slightly north of the coastline, part of the middle and transition centers. Meanwhile, fairly dry and slightly hazy conditions will prevail over the northern sector throughout the forecast. Now, the temperature for the next 24 hours, the coast will experience a minimum of 23 degrees and maximum of 33. Forest 23 degrees, maximum 34 degrees. Transition 21 degrees minimum, maximum 37 degrees. Northern, a minimum of 20 degrees and maximum of 39 degrees. From this week, daytime temperatures will have a gradual increase across the entire country. And that does it for this morning's update from the weather, brought to you in association with the Ghana Meteorological Agency from the MBN Weather Center. The news continues. And before we take leave of you, a recap of the headlines.
Mahama swears in National African Peer Review Mechanism Governing Council members. In business, Ghana's cedi set for modest depreciation in 2026 EM advisory projects. And on the international front, migrant boat capsizes off Libya, leaving 53 dead.
For more news, log on to MBN 360. The news came to you live from our studios on the 10th Avenue Extension, Great Estate. We're also live on all our social media handle on MBN 360, Facebook, YouTube, and X. For more news, go to MBN 360. My name is El Samuels. Up next is the sports update. Stay with us.